Before an artifact can go on display, it must go through a lengthy conservation process that ensures the artifacts can be enjoyed for generations to come. Before anything can happen, the departments involved in preservation and presentation get together and decide which artifacts are the top of their priorities and how feasible each project is. After an artifact is given the green light, it heads to conservation where it undergoes intense inspection and repair. Shelley Smith, head of book conservation at the Library of Congress, and Sylvia Albro, senior paper conservator, talked to us about the conservation process.
Broadly, we treat the collections of the Library of Congress. We make sure that they are well cared for, that they are stored and housed properly, that they can be accessed and used by researchers and scholars and visitors.
The conservators told us about how they get to interact with artifacts in unique ways in order to learn more about the historical context of the documents.
Well, because I think that items have layers of stories to tell. And there's their immediate appearance, there's what's written in the text in the case of a manuscript, but there's also what it's composed of, how it was designed, how it was put together. It all means something, and so you can tell a different story with the technical information than necessarily what's written in the text.
Looking at the Omar ibn Said documents, the conservators were able to analyze the paper that allowed them to make predictions about the origins of the document. The original autobiography was written with iron gall ink. This ink is known for its rich color and durability. It's created by a chemical reaction between tannic acid and iron sulfate. This causes the tannic acid to produce a dark color when exposed to oxygen. Tannic acid is found in galls, which are growths on an oak tree in response to parasites. To extract the acid, the galls are crushed, boiled, or chemically fermented using mold. The fermentation method will result in the blackest ink, but takes the longest. Because of the acidic nature, the ink is known to be fairly corrosive over time and prone to color changes. The conservators found the ink had not corroded much of the paper, so it was likely of a very high quality.
We try as much as possible in conservation to be sure that what we do doesn't inalterably change something, but sometimes it is necessary. And to attempt a treatment procedure that has the potential, there's always a chance that something unexpected could happen. And it involves a fair amount of guts to be able to go through and say, test and test and test, but then put a piece of paper in a bath of water. You just have to jump in.
The conservators have to be very careful when interacting with the documents. They made it clear that their purpose is to make the documents as accessible as possible while maintaining its integrity. After conservation has finished their work on the artifacts, they are sent to the digitization lab where they are photographed and prepared to be put online.
We are responsible for digitizing items from the cultural heritage collections to make them available online so that people around the world can see them.
The lab has a variety of equipment in order to present the artifacts with the best lighting and most accurate quality available. Their equipment ensures that the files accessible online are accurate and replicating what the documents may be like in person.
New color checker, because our job is to capture items at true to color form. Color accuracy is very important. So each color swatch here has an aim point, which is a number value that we strive to set up the camera toward.
Similar to conservation, the lab has to be very careful not to damage any documents, so they use special machinery to handle them and get the best picture possible. This is the rare book modulator, which is a special scanner that holds pages flat, pressed against the glass, but the table underneath the glass moves in such a precise manner that the glass is able to apply little to no pressure on the book itself, reducing any damage. The Omar ibn Said documents were so old that the digitization process had to take place inside the conservation lab to avoid any damage. The library works to ensure that all artifacts remain intact so that they're accessible to scholars and the general public.
A lot of scholars and researchers, a lot can't come here to the library, and we have a lot of things here, one-of-a-kind things, that given sometimes the fragility of an item, determines whether it can be served to the public or not.
After digitization, the artifacts are posted online for scholars and the general public to view. The library uses a technique called metadata to attach keywords to various artifacts so that anyone can search for a topic on the library's website.
So some of the things that we've handled in the past are top treasure items here at the library, such as documents that created the U.S., for example, which would entail the rough draft of the Declaration of Independence, Gettysburg Address, and so on.
To bring out something that's so iconic and see people's reaction to it and see them interact with history. And there's something that's so immediate and intimate about a person seeing a document that is so much a part of our American life.
No matter whether it's the Declaration of Independence or the Omar ibn Said manuscripts, the Library of Congress is filled with artifacts that are each a piece in the puzzle of America's rich history. Today you saw an inside look at the process through which these artifacts are preserved for scholars, researchers, and the general public for generations to come.